Okay, how you doing everybody? My name is Mr. Corriveau and I'm here to show you how to properly prepare a copper connection and working with the torch in exploratory. So, you all have a little piece of paper like this, okay, which has the tools on it, so I'm going to take a minute and go through that. The first thing we have here is a tubing cutter. Okay, which you're going to see the way you open, okay, or close the tubing cutter is with this big black knob on top. Okay, the tubing cutter has two rollers on it and a cutting wheel. Okay, by design, it doesn't chop the copper, okay, it simply scores it as you turn it around over and over. So nonetheless, here's our tubing cutter, here's our reamer, okay, the reamer, we will be using that, all right. The next tool is sand cloth, okay, emery cloth, steel wool, all right, there's a number of items you can use, but we're going to be using this sand cloth, okay. Next thing is the flux capacitor, all right, yummy, caramel, no, just kidding, you don't eat this stuff, this is not good for you, but that's part of the process, okay, the flux. All right, and then the next thing we got is the torch, the gas tank with wrench, okay, all that is right here, all right. Here, let me bring this up so you guys can see it a little better. There we go. Okay, so this is not what you need at your stations. You won't be using this at your workbenches. The torches will be set up at the torch stations only, okay? However, just to show you that we have, yes, the torch, all right, the handle, okay, all that stuff that we'll go over in a few moments, all right? So for now, just to say, there it is, all right? So after that is the striker, okay? The striker is what starts the torch up, gives you that little sparkiness. Okie dokie, all right? After the striker, we have the wire solder, all right? So a roll of solder right here, okay? It's not like what they use in electronics or anything like that. Nonetheless, it's a lead-free solder. Okay, and then wiping cloth, okay, so we have a wiping cloth, we'll be using a rag, all right, then we need some tubing, all right, so we have some tubing here, okay, you can notice some already has some old solder on it, this doesn't, so that's good. Sometimes you have a piece that has solder on both ends, okay, we'll talk about that in a second. All right, fitting, I have a fitting, okay, a couple of fittings that we're going to go through. All right, and safety glasses, yep, my safety glasses are right here, okay. Anyways, all right kids, so there we go. So this piece of paper, as you all have, is for your step-by-step instructions. I'm just gonna go over the process, and so you kids can be aware of the safety element involved, all right? So first of all, so when you get your pieces of copper, if they have the solder already on them, like this one and this one, okay, and if you look, these two do not. All right, if you have that case, you can't use that part with the solder on it. You're going to want to cut that off, okay? So this is when we start getting going on learning how to use the tools. So you have a vise at your bench that's like this, okay? Lefty loosey, righty tighty, all right? So I'm going to put that right on there, okay? Not too tight, kids, because if you tighten this too much, you're going to crush the tubing, all right? So too much. So what we're going to do here, let me take a second. What we want to do is have this tubing right between the two rollers, like so, okay? So you have to have it like that, otherwise you're going to have some issues, all right? So I'm going to take it. I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, then you may want to cradle this. You'd be on the other side, okay? Maybe using your other arm. So now I'm going to put this cutter on here. Boom. I turn the knob. Boom. I make contact with the copper tubing. I stop. I do not turn it anymore. I then start rotating the cutter, okay, around. And as I go around, okay, I'm tightening it a little bit. All right, a little bit more, you know, and we're going to cut right through that tubing. Boom, just like so. So there it is. So we just cut that piece right off. Okay, if you have a mark, that's where you'll be cutting. All right, so that's your first step, to cut. Next step is to ream, using the reamer. Now, this reamer sometimes, kids, is tough to get out. Okay, you might need some pliers, all right, you know, or an upperclassman to help you out, but nonetheless, once it's there, it's out and it's good. Okay, so you just put it in there and you just take off the burr that we create. We create a little burr when we cut it with the tubing cutter. So I just rotate it back and forth. You can see a couple little pieces there that are going to fall out. That's what we want to do. So that's step 2, okay? So now, once we've cut, we've reamed, then we're going to clean the tubing with the emery cloth. Okay, so right here, okay, a little bit of a shoe shine method. Okay, that's what, I mean, and maybe a lot of kids don't even understand shoe shine method anymore, but it's the way you used to shine shoes back in the day, okay? So there's one end there, all right? That one's cleaned, ready. Okay, now this one I'm gonna flip it around. Same thing, take this bad Larry off. Okay, boom, again, just touching it with the cutter wheel and then starting to rotate. Because if you crank it, guys, you're gonna dent the tubing, you're gonna have a problem, guaranteed, okay? So once you touch the tubing with your cutter wheel, then you wanna start rotating it, just like I did. Sorry, here we go, we're gonna ream it. Okay, so cut, ream, now we're gonna clean. Okay, just like that, all right? That piece is ready, okay? You're gonna have 2 pieces to put together, so you will see how that all works out, all right? So here I have another one, okay? No solder on it, so I can just prepare the ends. I'm gonna assume it's at the right length already, just for expediting this demonstration, okay? So again, it's tightened in there. I'm gonna clean it. Now, if you think about it, I skipped a step there, okay? I did not ream it yet, so let me do that. Boop. Okay, get those little burrs off from the cutting. Okay, now that one's ready. Now I'm gonna flip it around. Same thing. And there we go, okay? Again, that's cleaned and reamed. Okay, those 2 have to happen after cutting it. Whether you do one before the other is entirely up to you. Okay, so now we cut, we cleaned, we reamed. Good. Now, there's 2 other tools that are not on your list actually, okay, that we have over here. I want to mention a fitting brush, okay? The fitting brush is used to clean the fittings, all right? Just like the emery cloth or sandpaper, sandcloth is used for cleaning the tubing, okay? This is used for cleaning the fittings, all right? And then water pump pliers. Those are 2 things that aren't on your list, but yet we need to use them in the shop, so you want to make sure you have them. Okay, so what we're doing, kids, is just putting 2 pieces together, all right? We're going to have a coupling, which is what's going to hold the 2 pieces together, all right? So before we're ready to use it in our project, we have to clean it. So we clean the inside, we take the brush, we rotate it on the inside, boom, make it nice scratch so you can see how it's scratched up nicely, okay, as opposed to one that is not, okay? You can see the difference, how much shinier it is and whatnot, okay? That's clean, that's not cleaned, all right? So you gotta do both sides of a fitting like this side and that side, because tubing's coming into both sides, all right? So we're gonna clean that, all right? I'm gonna put this aside. Then the other end, okay, at one of the ends, we're gonna have this fitting right here that we call a tester. Okay, so one end has threads on it. That is not the side that the copper tubing goes into. Copper tubing goes in the other side. Okay, so not where the threads are, where the threads are not. Again, we just take the brush, we just go in there, turn it a few times. Again, getting it all nice and scratched up, getting rid of all that impurities and whatnot, okay? Oxidation, what have you. Okay, so boom, there it is. Okay, so now once we did that, our tubing's ready. Now we bring in our flux. Okay, again, following your step-by-step instructions, it's going to walk you through the same way I'm doing it here right now. All right, so I'm going to take my coupling, okay, put a thin coat. That's what it tells you on your instructions. That's what you want to do, a thin coat on here, then a thin coat inside here. When you do your fittings, kids, when you flux in your fittings, just like when you're cleaning them, clean both sides, flux both sides so you don't forget to do it. All right, so there we go. Little twist and turn, we put it together. Boom. All right, this one right here, another thin coat. Right on there. Beautiful. Boom. Okay, now we're going to hit this one right here. Same thing. Okay, now we take our tester. All right. The test is going to go on like so. Boom. Okay, so there we go. We got the first part of our practice project. That's how you prepare your copper projects before you're ready to solder them. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some soldering. So now we'll talk about the torch real quick. So you kids don't need to worry about turning on the main tank on the valve or anything like that. The upperclassmen will take care of that. All right, so the torch. The torch right here, all you care about is this part right here, kids, okay? The torch tip where the flame comes out, okay? The operating knob right here, that's all you have to concern yourself with, okay? We're not gonna put the solder and the torch together because that's how you burn yourself, all right? You always wanna be conscious of where this fire is, okay? So we're gonna open this up. Okay, just maybe half a turn, all right? Now, when you open up your operating knob, again, same thing, maybe a half a turn or a little bit more, okay? You don't just open it, because that's a problem. So, boom, there it is. Striker lights it right up, okay? Again, I'm right-handed, so you're going to hold your torch with your left hand if you're right-handed, with your right hand if you're left-handed, okay? The idea about opening the torch just a little bit, okay, is because if we have to shut it off, boom, you can shut it right off. If you open it up a whole lot more, watch, nothing happens, nothing. And the problem is that if you got to shut it off in emergency, you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I don't know, okay? So again, just about half a turn, all right? Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. That's why we only open it about half a turn. Capiche? Capiche. Okay, so I'm going to light it up again. Half a turn, okay? Striker, if you notice I put it underneath, kids, instead of putting it in the front where the flame's going to flower out, okay, boom, lights right up. If you're not comfortable doing that, have an upperclassman do it for you. I can do it. Whatever the case may be, we want you to be safe, okay? I'm going to shut this off just to explain about the solder here real quick. Okay, so the solder, kids, middle finger here, thumb here. Again, I'm right-handed. I want to hold the solder with my dominant hand, the hand that I write with. Okay, so right here I got a little curve on it. It's cold right now. Once you start soldering, it's going to get hot. Okay, but I got my finger on this so I can feel what I'm doing. All right, so now I'm going to light the torch, and again, you're going to see me heat it up. Okay, heat up the fitting and the tubing, and then I'm going to pull the flame away and hit it with the solder. You don't want to put both because that's how you're going to burn yourself. Okay, so here we go again. So I think it's starting to bubble now. I think I might be getting hot enough. I'm going to pull this away. I'm going to try it. Oh, yeah, not bad, but I think I'm going to have to bring a little bit extra heat in here. Okay? You need a little bit extra heat. You bring it back in. Boom. That's it. Okay? The other side is going to go a lot faster because we already heated one side of it. Again, bring the heat back if you need it. Boom. Okay, there's that one. Now we're going to do the tester. You're looking at it, if you can see it, good enough, you might be able to see the flux bubbling. That's supposed to simulate sweating. All right, a little more heat. This is a little bit bigger fitting with the threads and everything. It's a little bit, takes a little more heat to heat it up. Boom. That's it about the soldering. Now, here's the thing, kids. Right after I solder this, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, depending on how much you heat it up, okay, you don't want to touch it because that solder is still liquefied. And if you do, then you're likely to ruin your connection, you crack the joint, or you could pull the fitting right off. So give it, as I said, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, okay, depending on how hot it is. If you actually pay attention, you look at it real good, you'll see it gets a duller color when it solidifies, okay? And here's the other thing now. We just soldered this, so we're gonna hurt ourselves. We're gonna burn ourselves if we grab this. We don't touch any of this with our hands, kids. Again, this is why we have water pumps, all right? So we're gonna take the water pumps right here. You'll always have maybe a tester on there. If nothing else, you'll have the end of the pipe, okay? Just like right here. You might have a tester, you might not, but you get the end of the pipe. That's where you wanna put your pliers in. Okay, that's the best place. So then, boom, you take it, we undo the vise. All right, there we go. We got 2 connections done. All right, when you guys solder, you're gonna be soldering in front of your vices, just like I just did. So if you have connections that are, you know, project parts that are behind the vise, we need to do just like I did. Loosen it up, pull it out, okay? Flip it over. All right, and fasten the vise down for that one. Okay, so now we're done soldering this one for the moment. Okay, we have a special task that I'll show you in the shop, what we do to the end here. Okay, however, bottom line is, sorry guys, I don't know if this is working, but I gotta cool it off. Okay, when you cool off your projects, kids, you cool the whole project off. The whole project. Because what happens, and you don't need to use paper towels, you can use rags, that's why we have rags, okay? The problem is when you cool this off, that heat's gonna go to the cold part of the pipe. So that's why you wanna cool off the entire project so that there's no chance of you getting burned, okay? And that, my friends, is the idea on how to prepare your copper tubing, okay, for connections and how to go about soldering it safely. Okay, like I said, don't be putting any, the torch and your hands with the solder at the same time, okay? I could have did a better job on this, but again, it's not too bad, but a little excess solder, as you can see. Okay? Okay, so kids, here's the last thing. So we got our 2 pipes put together. We have our tester on one end. Now comes the challenge for the kids, okay? So here we go. So we have an open end over here. What we're gonna do is put a poor man's cap on it, okay? A crimp, if you would. So we got the outside already cleaned. We cleaned the outside already, okay? The outside of the tubing. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean the end right here, just like that, okay? The very end, what we're looking at, okay? So we do that. Now we take what I call a snot. I don't know if I've had kids that pick their nose or something. That's what we call a snot. So we take a glob of this. All right, kids, we want to put it on the inside right here. Nice little glob. Okay, nice little glob. All right. So then we're going to come over to a flat vise. All right. This is not the side of the shop that you'll be doing it, but it's the same kind of vise, okay? Has flat jaws. I will show you that in the shop. So I'm gonna put this in here. Okay. And we're gonna tighten it up. Now these 2 joints aren't gonna come together, these 2 jaws, because we got a piece of material there, so you don't have to kill yourself. Your body weight itself will push down on this plenty. So I'm good, okay, I squished it, all right? And so you can see what we got right there, okay? That little seam right there, you might look at it and say, hey, that thing's fine, that'll be fine, it's not gonna leak. It would if we put pressure to it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the torch, okay, and we're gonna put a bead going right across. Okay? So understand this, kids. This is part of getting the project ready. So I showed you how I soldered these two already. However, when we do this project, you're going to create the whole thing with the crimp and everything and solder at one time. What we're going to do right here, we're going to put the heat on there, but it's going to take less heat than any other connection we've done already because there's no fittings involved. There's just the tubing, okay? And all we want to do is keep putting a line right across that crimp that we have. And too much heat's going to be a problem. That's one thing I'm going to tell you right now with the soldering. Too much heat's no good. Not enough heat's no good, okay? It's a balance, okay? So... all right, here we go. Come on. Okay, so there we go, about a half a turn open, a full turn, that's about it. So now I'm going to heat this up. You can see it, you know, the flux is sweating a little bit. Remember, kids, it's the heat and the flux that's going to pull in that solder. That's it. That's all you want to do. That's it. Boom. I just noticed the color change, so I know it's hardened. All right. As I said to you, it looks kind of shiny when it's liquified, if you would, and when it solidifies, it gets a duller color. Now again, kids, even though I just soldered that end, all right, don't want to take any chances. Again, I'm going to put my pliers through the end where the tester is. Okay. Just like so, and if you can see, you know, it looks like we got a nice bead going right across that bad Larry, okay? All right, so I'm gonna cool it off. And again, I'm gonna cool off the entire project. Okay, because you'll burn yourself instantly, kids, if you do it by your hands. And that, kids, is your practice project. That's it. See if you can measure with the two pieces the right length and then getting some good solder connections, and we're good.